Moo. I had no idea I was going to do that until the moment I did that. What is happening? Hello, all my superhuman friends. All right, before we get totally into randomness, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. And here we go. Why do I sound so excited? I don't know. I don't feel excited. Good morning to Mark, Dodgy, Austin, Crispian, and I'm somehow listed in there as well because I've been active in the chat. So hello to myself. Good morning, Amanda. I guess you're back from New Zealand now, and I hope you had a fantastic trip. Stephen W, Rob V, some call it fun, The Lane, David Howes, James Harris, Russell Rainey. I thought I saw someone else a second ago too, and then I clicked on the list and the name disappeared. Stephen George, Emmy, Simon, Scott, Tech Nebulous, KHT, Mitchell. I think I have volume turned up on my computer, so text-to-speech should be working, and oh yes, squirrel. Okay, Austin has given me something to talk about. I will. There were a couple of things I saw in the chat that reminded me that I was thinking I was going to do a quick response to.
Mitchell R said, "This is a test."
This is a test of the emergency alert system. Yes. Where are we? Where are we? I'm trying to find.
Amanda Thompson said, "Good morning."
Good morning, Amanda. Yes, I hope your New Zealand trip went well and you had fun and you've come back and recovered from jet lag. No, Red, don't change anything. Austin, okay, this is the thing. There was some random chat about daylight savings, of course, because this stream has started an hour earlier than usual for people in many parts of the world, with daylight savings time coming into effect at 2 o'clock this morning here in Melbourne. And Austin made a comment about his outside lights updating automatically because they're based on dusk. And so when dusk arrives, the external lights turn on. So if there is a time zone change, it happens based on whenever dusk is. And that was going to lead me to the question, Austin, of what logic you are using. Like, what is your control system that is telling the outside lights to do that? And then Austin put in the chat, all my systems update via Node-RED and MQTT. I don't have to change anything. All right, I now have a follow-up question for you, Austin. What are you using in Node-RED for the timing? Are you using Big Timer or some other system? What are you using to set the schedule that says when dusk is? Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Big Timer is a, and there are many others. So Big Timer, Node-RED, I'm just looking it up. Yes. So, where are we?
Amanda Thompson
Big Timer,
said,
Big
"NZ
Timer.
was great. May have a job in NZ. Have an interview via Zoom in December."
Ooh, interesting. Okay. Well, best of luck for that. So does that mean that you would be moving to New Zealand, or would you be remote working, or what's the deal? So my outdoor lights are based on sunsets, so they adjust for each day. Yeah, so this is Big Timer, which was created by the legendary Pete Scargill and one of the OG ESP hackers. And he's created this Big Timer thing, which is a crazy big Node-RED plugin. Like this is the plugin page for it, and it does not give any. It really just does not give you a sense of how complex it is. It started off, I think, as a project.
Amanda Thompson said, "If I get the job, I will have to move to Wellington."
Ah, okay. So you would become a Wellingtonite. Well, good, good luck. I hope that all works out well for you. Yeah, can be found at the tech blog. So this is Pete's blog, his home automation blog. Oh, it was just a link to his blog in general. I wonder if there is a tech blog Big Timer entry. Okay, so this is the Big Timer thing. Oh, look at the UI. Look at all the options and things. He started out as a project where he was wanting to just set schedules for things in his Node-RED setup, and he just kept adding features. And now it has grown into this monstrosity.
Austin's_creations said, "See your Discord DMs. I've sent the JSON for NR import."
Ooh! Thank you, Austin. I will check my DMs in a second, and then we can maybe pull it up live, like I can paste it in and see what happens. So we've got, yeah, lots and lots of options, and you can turn things on and off, like ban odd days, ban even days, randomization, and all sorts of things. So what you can do, for example, is set it to turn your turn different lights on in your house for that fake I'm at home sort of look, and randomize it a bit so that lights will turn on at random times, but only at night, and you know, that sort of thing. All sorts of options. And it's got in here, so you might be wondering why it's got latitude and longitude in in the configuration for a timer plugin. That is so that it knows where you are in the world, and from there it figures out, based on your your physical location, not just your time zone. It can figure out things like when exactly is dusk and dawn at your location on the planet. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Pete does...
I can help you shop for everyday items.
Alexa, stop. Oh, I don't know what woke her up. Yeah, anyway. I will get back to that. Oh, hang on, no. I'm going to have a quick look in my DMs. See what... Here we go. Based around Node-RED SunCalc. Okay. Node-RED, Node SunCalc. So that's a different... Node-RED SunCalc. This one here. Let's do some messing around with this. There are already a few other squirrels in the chat to chase. So Node-RED, what am I going to do? Node-RED, which one? 185. Yes, I have many Node-REDs. This is the one that I'm going to play with. Dashboard. Let's go for... So this is the Node-RED installation. Yes, it's a total mess. It is spaghetti code. Node-RED is one of those things where you can make code that literally looks like spaghetti. So this is the system that currently controls my workshop. So you can see like multimeter control, so turning on and off the multimeter, the fume extractor, power supply, preheater, soldering iron, oscilloscope, hot air, all that sort of thing. And then there is a meta device, which is the bench, so I can turn the entire bench on or off, and it turns everything on or off, and then publishes to MQTT. Yeah, there's lots of repetition in here. That could be done a whole lot neater. But I want to see, let's make a new thing, and I'm going to copy, let's see how I can do this. Can I copy this directly?
Mitchell R said, "Want to link TTS events?"
Link, oh, That's a good point. We could link text-to-speech events. Verifying visual. I don't want to open it in
Mitchell R.
Visual
said,
Studio
"Want to
Code.
link TTS events."
I just wanted to open it in a text editor. Yes, let's do that sometime. So now I should be able to do, where do I do this?
Mitchell R.
Import.
said, "Want to link TTS events."
I believe the answer is still yes. So I'm just importing what Mitchell has, oh no, this was Austin sent me. All right. So I've just pasted this in. There are a bunch of nodes that are missing because I don't have sunrise, simple time. What do I need? Sunrise. So let's go into manage palette and install SunCalc. Was that what it was called? SunCalc. That one. Install. Yes, install. My cursor has got kind of strange. Also, I'm getting a warning on a low data rate. 3.5 megabits a second is what I'm pushing data out at, which is lower than YouTube would be happy with. All right, what else have I got to install? What do I need? Unknown, simple time. Okay, and let's install a simple time palette. Manage palette, the simple time node into the palette. Simple time. And then we can have a replica of what Austin has running. All right, simple time has been added. Cool. Doorbell trigger. What's going on with that one? Don't know. So we've got an input, a link in doorbell front door light. Okay. So we've got a countdown. What is that one doing? 2-second countdown. So timer on payload is 2, timer off payload -1. And that goes into a function for bulb 3. So checking the payload value 210 blah blah blah. Cool. A couple of debugs, laundry room function. Halloween reset. Oh, you got special functions just for Halloween. What does simple time do? All right. Include the following properties: month, my month, Sep and September, Tuesday and 19th for day and hour, day of month.
Austin's_creations said, "The doorbell is hearing impaired friendly, so it will blink the front doorbell to let people know it works."
Ah, okay, cool. That's really neat, Austin. So that's why you've got the link to the doorbell light. Yeah, cool. Nice one. So we've got sun. Okay, so you got your lat and long. I probably shouldn't have shown that, should I? I'm sorry. I didn't think of that. I didn't realize that lat and long would be in sunrise and set. Everybody look into the red light and erase your memory. So we've got traffic light. Oh, okay, cool. So there's a traffic light node here. And Halloween begin. I want to see what Halloween reset does. So it's checking for month, day, and hour. So if it's November the 1st, then enable is set to go. And Halloween begin. So it's night and it's October the 1st. And it's, oh, hang on, October 31st, sorry. And hour is greater than or equal to 16, which is 4 p.m. Then it goes online. All right. Groovy. Interesting. Thanks, Austin. Alright. I think there is daylight saving, blah blah blah. I'm looking back down through chat, trying to catch up. Oh, okay, yes. And Austin also said, hopefully in a few weeks I'll be able to stream again. I have a project inbound and it has been far too long since I've streamed.
Austin's
Yes.
underscore creations said, bulbs automatically go purple and orange. Then I have a button inside to kill them once the candy runs out. Resets automatically at midnight.
Oh,
Austin's underscore creations said, then during December bulbs will be green and red.
okay. So it's all RGB and you can display the state or status of your lollies apply based on the color. That is cool. Just have to be in the general area. Set mine to the local police station. So some call it fun. That's a good idea. Yeah, set your lat long to the local police station. Yep. Yeah. Doorbell. Yep. Simple time. Yep. Sorry, I am. I'm quickly scrolling back through chat. That didn't notice. Oh, Scott says, never noticed Big Timer was done by the same guy that makes Node-RED actually talk properly to Google Homes and Amazon Echoes. Huh. Oh, okay. Did Pete do that as well? That's interesting. When, let's have a look. When you say he made it talk properly, where's, Pete Scargill, Node-RED, Google Home.
Austin's underscore creations said, yeah, need to change that in the future. Silly me forgot about it. But I have it set to turn lights on 45 minutes before sunset and after sunset.
Mm-hmm. What did Pete do to make it work with? Anyway. So okay. Okay. Back to the chat. Zephael says, so I don't actually understand this comment. I use an Amish waterfall system using prisms to help determine when dusk is. A what? An Amish waterfall system using prisms? Is that with a light sensor of some kind? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so the other thing that Austin pointed out is JLC PCB QR codes are now live. JLC. Speaking of which, right now I have 11 different designs in production. I'm not going to go into it, but if I went into order history, because it shows some customer designs in that same order. Because of the Chinese national holiday, I ended up, so the timing just worked out that I had several boards that I needed to go into production. I put them in a couple of days. Oh, look, they're still showing the notice. Up until October 3rd. They've forgotten to take the notice away. So I submitted an order with, I think it was 4 boards. It could have even been 5 boards, 5 different designs before the holiday. So it was a couple of days before the holiday, and they began production, but then but only made it through like the first stage, first couple of steps of production, and then the holiday hit and everything stopped. And I was still working on boards, so I just kept adding boards to the queue, to the existing order, because it wasn't going to slow it down anyway at that point. So I added a couple of boards during that Chinese national holiday, and then added more, and the order that I currently have in production right now has 11 different designs in it. And only one of those is a reorder. Most of them are new designs, including including test breakout stuff for Testomatic. Mitchell has just DM'd me. What? Hidden details. Use CTS. Oh, PubNub client. Listen to either one of the following channels. Okay, so Mitchell has just sent me some information about integrating text-to-speech in Node-RED. Right, I think that's going to take a bit more brain space than I can apply while doing the chat, and it may also reveal a couple of things because it's got, yeah, there's a user ID and a subscribe key and stuff in the code. I am not going to show you what Mitchell just sent me, but that is something for me to check out. I'm not even quite sure. Okay, Mitchell, what is the use case? What would we achieve by linking text-to-speech to my Node-RED? Yep. Cool. Thanks, Mitchell. Yeah, so what could we do? Oh, I see where you're going with this. So what this would allow is the text-to-speech system to act on events like messages from viewers and send those events to my local Node-RED, which means I could then get it to hook out to other things. So I could then link that potentially to the companion client, which means I could trigger camera switches from chat, and you could control my lights and whatever else. So, all right, that is interesting. Okay, Mitchell, now that I've got my head around what's going on, we can do some fun things with that. We can definitely we can use that as a link between chat and specific chat events and my physical environment where I am right here. Now, getting back to this, Austin pointed out, so a few weeks ago I talked about the announcement from JLC that they were about to start doing personalized, like unique QR codes and serial numbers and things on boards. So
Mitchell R said, yep, or anything. I push all events, event_name args, so you can really make them go wild.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitchell. That means, because all of the events are passed through, it means that I can just invent my own events. So I can arbitrarily decide if there's a specific command that I want to bind to something, I can do that. What we should do, in fact, Mitchell, I don't know if you've already done this, is have a list somewhere that we post of all the possible commands or events that text-to-speech can invoke. Like say is the obvious one, but there are others as well. We should have a little list. All right, so the point of all of this is where did it go? Where did it go? Advanced options. Hang on, where is it? Where is it? It was on here. Mark on PC. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Mark on PCB. Order number. So this is what is normally on a PCB. If you order a PCB
Austin_creation said, order number.
Yeah. If you mark with this, if you put a if you don't put a placeholder or anything on your PCB, or you don't say to remove it, what they do is put a little order number. They just arbitrarily pick some blank part of your PCB and they put a number on it. And that way, if the boards are going through the production process and something happens, basically they need to be able to look at the board and look up and reference the order number. So if they've got a bunch of boards in front of them, they don't know what customer it belongs to or anything like that, they need to be able to look it up somehow. So they print the order number on it. And if you put the text JLC, 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 etc., somewhere on your PCB, they will blank that out and replace it with their order number, and that gives you control over where the order number is going to be placed. Or you can ask them to remove the order number entirely. And I think that adds a little bit of handling overhead for them, but you can do that if you want to. But now they also have, so you can do order number, you can do order number specify position, you can do remove mark, which is just don't put anything on it at all, and that means they have a bit of extra handling to do. Or you can do 2D, I'm just going to close that. So 2D barcode serial or serial number. Yeah, 2D barcode, which is the serial number. So this is interesting. This is the new thing that they have just exposed in their order UI. And what I would... Okay, there is a question that comes out of this, and I want to... I want to do some experiments. I didn't quite get my head around this in time to do the experiments with the boards that I just put in. But what you can do is say, oh, 2D barcode and number. Oh, good. Okay. That's good. This is what I was hoping for. So you can do both the barcode and a number. So what you can do is, all right, so just backing up a little bit, explaining what's going on here. Normally when you have PCBs produced, they're all identical. The silkscreen is exactly the same on every single one. But sometimes you want serial numbers on boards. I do that with stickers at the moment. And what you can do is say, I want to have a serial number and I want to start from the value of 2564, and then they'll count up from that point. And I could say I want serial 2564.
Mitchell R said
and
JLC
remove that.
FTW.
Yeah, JLC for the win. No requirement. So what we could do is, it's not arbitrary text. Like you could do this with text, but what you would probably have to do is put regular fixed silkscreen on your board for other things. But what you could do is put a prefix in here and a starting value in here. So in this case, 2564 is the first serial number. And if I get boards back, so if I ordered this and I ordered 100 boards, the boards would be numbered 2564, 2565, 2566, etc. Each board on its silkscreen would have that unique number printed. So the only reason this is even possible, like viable, is that they have gone to fully digital silkscreen printing processes. So when we talk about silkscreen, it actually used to be literally done with a silkscreen, the same way things like t-shirt printing is done. And the silkscreen would be created as a stencil, pushed down against the boards.
Creations said, have a barcode scanner on assembly line, can track paste start, PNP start and end.
Yep. And so the... yeah, but now with digital printing directly onto, it's basically like an inkjet printer. So the boards go through the printing system and the silkscreen is printed digitally onto it. And because it's digital, it means they can print different things on every single PCB. So in this particular case, I could say, actually, there is a limit on, like, I can't do, what I was wanting to do was, let's see if I can do 2D barcode only. Can I do slashes? No, I can't. Okay, this is a limitation. So what I would have to do in this case, what I'm wanting to do is put on something like say I wanted to do www.superhouse.tv/2564. So that to make a unique URL with the serial number in it. I can't actually do that in the system because it's not allowing me to put in any special characters. So that is a problem with QR code. What about data matrix code? What does that allow me to do? Nope, I still can't do special characters. Okay, so that means I can't use this for the purposes I want to use it, because I can't do
Mitchell R said, I gotcha for that hee. Short links.
short links. Yeah, but the problem is, where are we? Yeah, but you can't do short links in this. You can't do anything except letters and numbers, which means any of the rest of it. Let's see. I'm just going to pull up Sublime Text and bring this up here so you can see what I'm typing. Is this nice and big? Say I wanted to do d.superlab.io/12345 Say I wanted to put that on, or HTTPS, like that. And that was what I wanted to put on the board. I can't put that portion of it on because it won't allow colons, it won't allow slashes. Will it allow dots? I don't think it does. No, it doesn't allow dots either. You can only have letters and numbers. So far I haven't found any other character that you can put in. So the way around that is to do the first portion of this URL as a fixed, so try QR code. That's what I was doing. So QR code won't allow it either.
Mitchell R said, try QR code.
Yeah, you can't. So what that means is this is useless for putting URLs or anything else like that on the QR code. You could put your URL as a QR code just on the silk screen, but you'd have to form it yourself and make it fixed, because you get the exact same thing on every single PCB. You can't have, with this, you can't have a dynamic URL in the QR code or dot matrix code, which is sad. That actually makes it useless to me. I can't use this. So it means that I can't put a scannable link on the PCB, like a scannable unique link. Hopefully they improve that in the future. In fact, I might send a message to my JLC customer service rep and see what she has to say. So yeah, anyway, the fact that they're doing this is really cool. It is nice that you can, like, you could do something like ID blah with a number and then have that as a barcode or as a number. So it would appear like that, ID to blah blah, or it could appear like this as a scannable QR code.
Said, you're looking for URL, John.
Yes, I am looking for a URL. Yeah, Jordan said you could put a URL on the silk screen, then a search box on that page to the individual report. Yeah, that's right. That's a workaround. It's not ideal. So in the short term, I'm going to continue putting stickers on the boards. So what happens at the moment is that I currently put a QR code on the board that takes this form. It's the prefix for the URL, and then there is a unique serial number that follows it. So if you click on it, like if you point your phone or barcode scanner or whatever, you're at the PCB and you scan the QR code, it takes you to that URL. Like it takes you straight to the board profile. But that is, yeah, that's not possible with JLC's current setup. So what we could do is have a QR code that takes you to just the, like it could take you to something like that. And then when you get there, you would have to type in the serial number. So it could be like that. So the serial number would be printed on the PCB. You'd zap, and beside it would be the QR code that I would have to put in manually. That'd be the same on every single board. The QR code takes you to the search page, and then you type in this. So
Mitchell
that would
asks,
work.
Also needs GUID or something else could be an issue. Enumeration.
Yeah, that's right, Mitchell. Unique number, remove. So specify position. Yeah, so you could put a, how would you do that? At the desired position, add a white square to the silk screen. Use it 2x10 for number only. Yeah, okay, so that's how you specify where you want them to put it. Oh, this is cool. It says, if there isn't enough space on the board to add the 2D barcode, we may decide not to print it and will not accept complaints regarding this issue. So that's their way of saying, if you don't give us room to put it on, we're not going to do it, and don't bother us because it was your fault anyway. Yeah, so anyway, I'm really happy that JLC is doing this. The fact that they are innovating and trying to provide more services to their customers like this. This is a very cool, high value service that I think there are a couple of different factories now that are doing this, but this is
Some call it fun, said. 2 QR codes, yours and theirs, might confuse their process.
Yeah, that's right. So if we put 2 QR codes on it, could be confusing. Yeah, their process may not work. I don't know.
Scott Miller said, 2D barcodes are so last century.
Yeah. No, I think their process would be okay, because what I would do is put my own QR code on it as a fixed thing just in the silk screen, and they wouldn't mess with that. And then put the square specifically somewhere. But yes, you're right. It might screw things up if there's already a 2D barcode on the board, and then they try to edit the file to add it in. Gerald says it's a step in the right direction. Yeah, and the thing is that just getting to this stage is a big achievement. The fact that they've put the infrastructure in place to be able to accept the values that are put into the form, and their back-end processes allow that to be accepted, and then edit the PCB files and substitute that onto every board as it runs through the printing system. That is pretty cool. That is really, really cool. So then they may well be able to add extra features and things as time goes on. We shall see. But getting to the point, getting all of the infrastructure in place to be able to do this, that is the big hurdle, and they've now passed that. Oh, Johnny is here. Yes, my hot Swedish friend is here. Welcome, which reminds me, there are probably a few people who have turned up. Zephael, Gerald42, Paul Gray is here, Mike Carden. I hope you're having fun with your new car, Mike. John Whips and Johnny. Hang on, I've got to move that back out of the way. Move that back there. Do one as QR code and the other as data matrix. Yeah, maybe. Might confuse. Oh, okay. So Jordan, yes. Jordan said should probably use a UID or a very long serial number to make finding proprietary info difficult. All right, so this is an important point. What Jordan is talking about here is, if I am producing boards for customers, and this is a very valid point, so thanks for bringing this up, Jordan. if I am producing boards for customers, and say I have a customer and I send them a bunch of boards and their serial numbers start at 5,000, and then a month later I send that same customer some boards and the serial numbers start at 5,250, for example. Then, and so their numbers went up to, like, they might have had an order that was 100 boards, so they ended at 5,000. Well, it's probably actually going to be starting at 1. So say, and then it goes to 5,100, and then their next batch comes in, and now their order is to 5,350. So this comes down to the statistical analysis from World War II of German tank numbers, because I can't remember if I've talked about this or on the stream or not, but I found this to be pretty cool. So the power of statistics. One of the things that the Allies were trying to do during World War II was figure out Germany's tank production capacity. How many tanks were they making per month or whatever? And because the German production facilities were very organized and precise, they put serial numbers on everything, and they incremented the serial numbers. And so if you destroy a German tank, for example, like say you destroyed a bunch of German tanks and you've got serial numbers 234 and 5,322 and 834 and whatever, you know the IDs of the tanks that you have captured or destroyed. You don't know the ones in the middle. So you end up with this statistical sample of serial numbers, and you don't necessarily know when they were manufactured, but it is possible to derive a surprisingly accurate estimate of how many tanks have been produced, the rate of production, etc.
Said first 4 digits is PCB order 1, 2, 3, 4, then random counter. After that is for each PCB, which can start at 1 on each batch.
Yes. Okay. I will get to the specifics of that in a moment, Mitchell, once I've explained the background problem a little bit more. So the problem, okay, there are really 2 problems here. One is that the statistical process that was used in World War II to figure out how many tanks the Germans were producing can also be used to figure out how many boards I'm producing. If you have samples of serial numbers, like if you know that, so if this customer knows that they have those serial numbers and these serial numbers, then they know that in the meantime I have produced boards 5101 through 5250. So they know these boards were produced in the interim between these 2 things. And that in itself is not necessarily revealing too much information, because frankly I don't care if my customers know how many boards I'm making. But it's a consideration. It is something you might care about. You might not want to disclose your production throughput if you're a manufacturer or something. So having serial numbers that are not simple sequential increments it may be a good idea. It may be something that you want to do, and you might want to have was it Jordan? Someone said use a UUID, unique user, blah blah. And Jordan says no, but visiting the URLs for those boards might contain info. Okay, so that is the other part of the problem. So if you had a, this is the whole URL manipulation thing. And yes, we've thought of this. So one thing that I have not shown you at all, or maybe I did, I can't remember, is the cloud-based system that all of this ties, that the Testomatic ties into.
You could mess with and put big jumps between batches.
Yeah, put big jumps between batches. Right. GUID. Yeah, GUID, group user ID, or UUID, unique user ID. Either way, yeah, the idea is you have some kind of a like a hex value or something. So if where am I? Dodgy said, just wondering if there is a topic today. The topic is seeing how many squirrels we can chase in one go. So, sorry, I'm just pulling something up on here. Yeah, so what you can do is generate an ID, which could be, hang on, how do I do this? So I'm just using pwgen, which is a password generator. Pwgen help, can I make it all lowercase? Yeah, don't capitalize, A. Pwgen minus A, okay? And let's make them 16 characters long. So this is just an example of the sort of thing I'm talking about. It could be, they could be IDs like this, although you might do it in hexadecimal, like just use A through F. Actually, how do I capitalize everything? Capitalize, yes, all right, so if I do that, I mean, I'm not suggesting, oh, hang on, that didn't work. That's include capitalize. How do I force all capitalize? Oh, I could pass.
Mitchell R said, Uwidgen command.
Oh, okay, cool. Uwidgen, okay. So that sort of thing. All right. So you can, whatever process you use, you can generate unique IDs and then use those assigned to the boards rather than consecutive serial numbers. And if you're wanting to make sure that you are not leaking information, then that can help. But, okay, so where this helps is that you can't necessarily say, oh, I've got, all right, hang on, come back to here. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to copy that and stick it in here, just so it's all in the same place. So with this one, say we've got a client who receives some boards from me, and they have, the first one has this URL. Now, I am sure that one of the first things they would try to do is go, let's have a look at board 5220, which is not one of their boards, and just go to that URL. I mean, that's the obvious thing to do. And it is shocking how often this works because of lack of authentication and validation, and yeah, so many of the so-called hacks that you see, things like when people when you hear about companies that have had data breaches and a whole lot of their customer information has been exposed, a lot of the time it is because they have not checked for people just putting in valid URLs that aren't theirs. So if you go to like your bank and you log in or whatever, and your customer ID gets passed through in the URL somewhere, maybe in a redirect or something, And then you just substitute a different ID, and all of a sudden, boom, you are looking at the details for another customer. That is like security 101 for web apps. Never trust. The principle is never trust data coming from outside. In fact, never trust data. But never trust things like arguments that are passed to you. They always have to be validated. So in the portal that Mitch has been developing over the last few months, that matches this, that Testomatic, that is for the Testomatic project. So the idea is that Testomatic does tests and pushes the results into the portal so they can be stored indefinitely, and then the customer can come along to this URL and look up the history of their board. The way he has coded that, the way the data structure works, is that we have a customer, which is like a company. We have users within that customer. So just using myself as an example, me as the user, John Oxer, is a member of company Superhouse. And then the board is associated with a customer. So ID 5220 might be associated with customer Superhouse. And if I try to load that URL, what the system does is it knows who I am logged in as, it knows what customer I'm associated with, and therefore whether I have privileges to look at that board or not. So if I change the URL and I start asking for a URL for a board that I do not have authority for, it says, I can't get in. It just shows you that there is no information available for that board. So, yeah. Now, if you were relying on UUIDs, and the thing is, they don't have to even be that long, because the number of possible combinations.
Mitchell R said, customer user ID, TESTERID, ordered M ha 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 ha. They will never be able to get it ha ha.
Yeah. So the customer ID, user ID, tester ID, board ID. Yeah. So they have to authenticate first to see anything. So nothing is public. Like if you go to one of these URLs, nothing is public. In fact, what happens? I actually don't even know. I'm going to do this. I'm sure that someone there has already tried. Nope. Anyway, it's not working. Device. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to show you this.
Actual authentication is much better than messing with URLs.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. No, the system that Mitch has created requires actual authentication. So you have to, if you try to load a URL like this and you do not have a current active authorized session, it forces you to log in before you can see anything. And then if you are logged in already and it knows who you are, and you go to a different ID that is within your company, like the next one along that happens to also be in your range, then you can see it. But you can only see devices that you're authorized for. Anyway, yeah, so if you use something like a UUID like this, the number of combinations is very, very large. It is because you've got, like, say you allowed not just hexadecimal, but full alphabet range, like A to Z. Then for each position here, with a normal instead of being base 10, like if you just use serial numbers, then there are only 10 possible values at each character position. So that is a maximum of 10, and that's 100, and that's 1,000, etc. But if you allow A to Z as well as 0 to 9, then you have 36 possible values. So with just one digit, you have 36 possible serial numbers with that. And if you have 2, then you have 36 times 36, which I can't do in my head, so I'm going to do 36 times 36. So with 2 digits, just 2 digits from 00 to ZZ, that it gives you 1,296 possible combinations within that. And then if you go to 3 digits times 32, oh sorry, times 36, times 36. Did I get it right the first time? By 36 equals, yeah, by 36. And with just 3, from that to that, it is 46,656 possible serial numbers. Oh, I shouldn't say serials, I should say IDs that you can have with just 3 characters. So you can see that it goes up. You can see that it goes up very rapidly. So 36 possible combinations there, etc. So by the time you get to, this sort of, so how many is that? Whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12. So it would be 36 to the power of 12 combinations, which is or no, is it the other way? Whichever. Yeah, adding case sensitivity, says Scott, yeah. And then you have
Scott Miller
52
said,
plus
adding case
10.
sensitivity.
Yeah, 52 plus 10 is 62 possible combinations per character. If you do 0 to 9, A to Z, A to Z, that gives you 62 possible combinations out of just one character. Yeah, so what this means is that it becomes incredibly difficult to randomly pick a value that is going to match with something, because the actual number space is vast and the number of items within that space are very small. So it is very likely that if you tried to change a character, like say we made this instead of 77, we made it 79, and you tried to look for that ID, it probably wouldn't exist. It is highly likely that it would not exist. So as long as you are not incrementing, you've got to get away from incrementing, because otherwise you can just guess. Like the next one is going to be 1, 1 and then 1, 2. So people will just change the low value digits, and it'll become obvious. Like if this started off as A27, for example, all of a sudden your search space becomes much smaller, because you can go, ooh, I'm going to look for A22. Yeah, Stephen says just use an IPv6 address for each board. Yeah, but IPv6 addresses are consecutive as well, so that doesn't get around that problem. Anyway, I am going off talking about subjects of which I know nothing. I know nothing, Jon Snow. And Scott says, here it comes. Here it comes. Scott says,
Scott Miller said, all moot with proper back-end authentication.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So as long as you don't care about people doing a statistical analysis and seeing how many boards you're producing, then as long as you're authenticating on every single request and cross-referencing against that ID and what people are allowed to see, that's the critical thing, then you're okay. Okay. Where are we? Oh, interesting. Keith H asked, can you transfer a board from one customer to another? Mitchell says that would be theft. The way it works, so the data model is actually slightly more complicated than I just described to you. So, but that is a really good point. Ownership of individual boards. That actually raises something that may become an issue in the future, because the way the hierarchy works at the moment is we have I've got to try to figure out how to represent this this data scheme in text, just in the text editor. So we've got a user who is linked to a, I'm going to say the word, we use the term client, but it's actually like it's representing a company. Then we have also linked to the company, we have a design. And then linked to the design, we have a serial. So that is the device. So so when you log in as a user, it knows what company you're associated with. We also have a table of designs, and the design might represent, for example, design ID 1234. The SKU for it might be rack 32, and the version is 1.1. And then, so what we would do in this particular case, I'm going to add a prefix. So I'm going to say design 1234, even though it's just a foreign key referenced in the company table. So then we would have user, say user 123. No, I'm not going to bother trying to represent this because I'd end up just like doing tables and things in text, which is a waste of time. I think you get the idea visually, kind of, maybe. So the serial of the entry for the serial in the database is not directly associated with the company. Like that's the record for the board does not have a foreign key reference to the company. It has a reference to the design. So the entry will say that it is, so serial 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will have a foreign key pointing to design 1, 2, 3, 4. And then design 1, 2, 3, 4 has a, oh, Don made it along. Welcome, Don. Oh, and Keith, Jeff Miller, Don S. Welcome. So the, this is turning into a mess and I'm just starting to babble about things that nobody cares about. So maybe this is something that is a topic of conversation when Mitch and I do a live stream about the portal software and how we store test records and all of that sort of thing. And all of that's going to be open source as well. So right now it's in a private repo on GitHub. But at some point we are going to release all of the software that runs the website of this, so that if you build a tester, you can also do that yourself. Maybe. We only actually intended for this to be an internal tool. So the fact that I've just said that might make Mitch have a heart attack. We shall see. So yeah, anyway, that's the relationship. So the device, I'm going to say device serial, just to make it specific. So we've got a device serial number, and the device table references the design, and the design is associated with the company. So this comes back to Keith's question about, can you change ownership? At the moment, we have no way of changing ownership of one specific device. Like to say, oh, this this board belonged to that customer, now it belongs to that customer.
Mitchell R said, just don't do a Winamp.
A Winamp? I think you might have to explain that a bit more, Mitchell. I can't remember what happened with Winamp and their source code. Yeah, so the only way we could do that currently is to reassociate the entire design. So say I had a device which was a Rack 32 board, and so say this device was a Rack 32, I could not say this Rack 32 now belongs to someone different. What I would have to do is say the entire Rack 32 range now belongs to a different company. So the product, like that design ID, belongs to a different company. And that's because we have been we work at the level of, we're kind of like an OEM, I suppose, where my customers buy hundreds of the same thing because they sell it to their customers. So this is a little bit different to if I was using this in a retail context and I sold a Rack 32 to Austin, although of course I wouldn't sell a Rack 32 to Austin. I'd send him one free of charge. So, because Austin is awesome and he has sent me a bunch of his boards, I think on the balance sheet, I owe Austin many, many boards. So what I would have to do is have a different, maybe not company-based, maybe individual user-based. So associate the device serial with an individual user. This is a whole different class of problem, which we have not even attempted to solve because it's not our use case. But it is a valid use case. It is something to think about. If I was wanting to give Superhouse customers, for example, access to the complete production history of a board that they bought from me, so one specific board, then I would need to have them added as a user somehow. So there'd need to be some onboarding process, which would have to be really lightweight. It couldn't be a thing where I have to manually go in and add that customer just because they bought one thing from me. There would need to be done by like an automatic link from the e-commerce system. So if someone buys something from me, the system would call, or some script would do a lookup in the users table.
Mitchell R said, simple solution. Design supersedes a design. New design assigned to new client. So you have ref to previous, but it's a new design.
Yeah, Mitchell. Yep, that's true. So we could have a new one, which is design 1235, which is also listed as Rack 32 v1.1, and that is associated with a different company. So yeah, that would be a way to do it. Yeah, all of this requires a lot more thought. So I think this is this is a conversation to have when I have Mitch here on the stream with me, and we can show you what it's currently doing. We can discuss the data structure and the workflow. We can talk about use cases and maybe different ways of thinking about this. Oh, here comes the Winamp explanation. Maybe? Come on. Come on. TTS, do your thing. Blocked. Oh, bad word detected. Okay, I will just say it then. Mitchell got blocked by his own tool. So Mitchell said, new Winamp owners open sourced the Winamp source code, including app signing keys, proprietary license source, failure to get rebase. Oh, it's a mess on a mess. The Primogen did a video on it. Yep. Okay. Doing supersedes is also nice, since what you can do is when you make a design change, the new design's parent is previous. The only diff is you pull through user, company, etc. when creating the new. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Mitchell says, I'm not excluded or special. Yeah, the text-to-speech blocked both of Mitchell's last two comments because it detected bad words somewhere in somewhere in those messages that I just read out. But that's okay, because the human TTS did the job. So we were talking about barcodes. What else? What else? There was other stuff that I was going to get back to and talk about. Ah, I know. I'm going to show you something. And let's see what screen Fusion is going to open on, just in case I've got to quickly remove it from your view, because it may have... Nope, it's open on this one. That's good. So I'm not going to be leaking customer stuff, because the last thing I had open in it was a customer project. In fact, the car wash control system. So, oh, Gavin is here. Hello, Gavin. Welcome to the stream. Oh, look, Fusion is going to be down for maintenance again. When? Today, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. They always do it Sunday, Australian time. So what I'm going to show you is air quality sensor. There's not much point going into this in great detail now, because I'm currently waiting on boards. EQS 4.0, yes. The where we left this was, oh yeah, go away with that message. We left it with, and I might as well open that and this while I'm at it. Open. Okay, so where we left it was, and we'll close that. We left it with the schematic pretty much done for the air quality sensor, but I have since made one or two changes, and it's only a single sheet, so you can see the entire design on screen right now. That is it. That's the whole thing. We got the S3 in there now. What is that, S3 Mini? Oh, which, yes, yesterday Austin pointed out to me that what I should do is make sure that on the S3 Mini, I buy the version with PS RAM, because that can be very useful for LVGL, for the drivers, for the LCD. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I currently do have some S3 Mini modules, but they don't have PS RAM, so I've got to order some. So we've got the ESP32 S3 with built-in USB. We've got the 3.3 volt power supply that comes off the USB connection, so we get 5 volts from USB. We've got the USB connector here. Oh, that's right. I also cleaned up the footprint. So what I did was I redid the USB-C, USB 2.0 only. Yeah, so this is a USB-C vertical connector. But what I did was, it's a USB 2.0 only symbol because it's got the S-bus and charge current pins broken out, but it doesn't have the HDMI pins and all the stuff, all of the other stuff. So this is the vertical USB-C connector. So I fixed that after the stream. The environmental sensor hasn't changed, it's still just the BME 680, and the mode button, which is on IO 0, so it can also put it into boot mode, but after it's booted you can use it for like toggling through info screens and stuff on the display. The particulate matter sensor, that is just the header for the PMS. And yeah, so where we left it last time was the... Oh, and also you'll notice that the LEDs are gone.
Austin's_creations said, are we keeping the AP2112K?
Yes, I believe so. Hang on. I need to cough, just a second. I don't know that helped very much. So, yes, AP2112K, that's for the 3.3 volt rail. It's only the microcontroller that's running off it. Oh, and the OLED. Ah, okay. The particulate matter sensor runs off 5 volts, but it has 3.3 volt compatible I/O. So that is not loading the 3.3 volt rail. So Austin's question was, are we keeping the AP2112K? I know we talked about this, Austin, but I can't remember what the outcome was. What's the decision? Is there a problem with using the 2112K? I don't think there is, but maybe, but I am usually wrong. So if there is a problem with that and we should switch to a different 3.3 volt regulator, I can do that. What we could do, Austin says, for this product, probably okay. Yeah. All it's doing is supplying the S3 and the display. And it's rated to 600 milliamps. So I think we'll be okay. Okay, so Austin says, but I'd phase it out of your BOM long term. Yeah, all right, so this is an interesting squirrel to chase. What should be phased into the BOM long term in place of the 2112K? I like it because it's one of those things that just kind of fits and does the job. It's not overkill. Rated to 600 milliamps. So the max input voltage on this 3.3 volt regulator is quite low. It's only, from memory, it's only like in the region of 6.3 volts. So there's very little headroom if you're powering it off a 5 volt rail. Yeah, Crispian caught the yawn. Did you yawn too? Just because I yawned. Yeah, so if we're supplying off, it basically fits this niche really well. It's very small. It's a SOT23-5 part. So, so it's physically very small. It doesn't need very much in the way of external components, just, you know, some input and output caps. Where are we? Are there any other caps? No, that's all there is. Oh, and there's that one, and there's that one. And in fact, these ones, let's change this now. I can change this. Let's make these 22s because that's what I have loaded in the machine. Wherever, did I hit caps lock by mistake? I did. Wherever I used to put 10 microfarad caps on boards, I typically just load 22s on them these days. So we've got 22 microfarads on the input and the output. We've got another 22 microfarads over here, physically near the S3 chip. Yeah, so it doesn't have a whole lot of headroom. You can't run this off a 12 volt regulator. I mean, a 12 volt rail, for example, it has to come off something like a 5 volt rail, and then it gives you a fixed 3.3 outputs. 3.3 output. So it's super simple and very small. Like on the board, this whole thing is tiny. In fact, let's have a look at the board. Yeah, there it is. Let's rip that up. So there's the 2112K with its input and output side caps. And to get a sense of how small that is, this is the USB-C connector. Like the whole thing, including its caps, fits into the space of just like the end of a USB connector. It's tiny. And that's just a fuse. So there's a poly fuse in there as well. And the fuse is like half the size of the whole regulator thing. And these are 0805 caps. Yeah, so it's not, if you were running, so if this project, for example, was designed to run off some random power input like 12 volts, or you wanted to give it an input range of anything from say 7 to 32 volts. Hang on, cough again. Sion has entered the chat with, "That's not small." Yeah, Sion takes the concept of small to a whole different level. Yeah, so if I was running this off a wider input voltage range, I would definitely put a switch mode regulator in here. And I'd probably use something like the LM
_creations said, I use the NCP167BMX330TBG that Seon uses on a recent project.
Well, that's no good. I can't use that one because there are far too many letters in the name. How am I going to say that? Okay, so this is the regulator. What does it do? Linear voltage regulator. Okay, 700 milliamp. What is its input range? Max input is 5.5 volts. Okay, so you can only run it off a 5 volt rail, and it's fixed 3.3 volt output and 700 milliamp max current. Okie dokie. 18 microamps quiescent. So that's low. That's nice. Over current, over temperature, soft start. But yeah, look how small these pads are. I do not like beating myself about the head with a piece of wood with nails in it. If I was that sort of person, then yes, I would choose this sort of footprint over a SOT23. Sion says, super low noise floor. Yeah, it is. Where are we? PSRR. Yeah, 85 to 63 dB. Yes. So that looks nice. That does look nice. Austin said, my first battery-based project, which is why I wanted to use it. Yeah. Mitchell just added a marker to the chat. Sion's favorite linear voltage regulator. Austin says, XD FN4 1 by 1 millimeter. Okay. Yeah. Like, hell no. I've, in doing some assembly work recently for CSIRO, I have been putting parts on boards that are this sort of scale, and it sucks. I don't want to be doing this stuff for fun. I want to be building things and enjoying the process. I do not want to be bashing myself in the head to yeah, just to do this. Let's see. I want to be horrified by the geometry of this. All right, so where is the recommended footprint? Here we go. So this is geometry on the bottom. Recommended mounting footprint. This is the dimensions of the pads. All right, so this huge pad in the middle, this big thermal pad, is 0.52 of a millimeter across. What have we got here? 0.26 of a millimeter is the width of the pad there, and the height, where's the height of that pad? Zero. So these pads, with their little side chopped off, I'll see if I can zoom more. I can. So these little corner pads, with their corner chopped off, are 0.26 millimeters by 0.39 millimeters. So you're going to get, so running T4 solder paste, you're going to get about 3 balls of solder through that aperture on the stencil. No, I'm exaggerating, of course, but that is not fun. This is not my idea of a fun day, is populating a board with a part where the entire part is 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter with 5 pads under it. I have done it. I do not like it. I do not want it to be my life. I choose for it not to be my life. I would rather stick with SOT 23 and deal with it. Sion says, I've been looking at 2 by 2 millimeter ones that deliver 1 amp, but still only 5.5 input max. Yeah, I know. So this is the thing, is that all of these sorts of things, why did the home key not work? Oh, there it is. So all of these sorts of things, these tiny little linear regulators have very low headroom. So you can only put up to 5.5 volts into this and get 3.3 volts out. Any more than that, and it is going to not be happy. It is going to cease to regulate, and it will go on a little holiday. Yeah, so you've got to, if you're feeding in off, say, like a 12 volt supply or a bigger battery or something, you will need to pre-regulate and then send it something that it's happy to consume, like a 5 volt input to give you the 3.3 volts out. Powering off USB, of course, is okay, because you get 5 or 5.1 volts typically coming out of USB. Regulators, smoke up! Come on, Sion, text to speech, catch up.
Unexpected Maker said, regulators, smoke up.
Yep. It needed a more dramatic voice though on the TTS. Now, Jordan says we're currently investigating cameras that are 0.6 by 0.6 millimeters. Yeah, Sion pointed out you can't get small package LDOs with low QU that take more than 6 volt input. Yeah, that's the trade-off. Because the thing is that we are talking about linear regulators here, which means that any headroom above, any energy above what you are needing out of it has to be sent out into the world as heat. And so trying to make them small means they have to have very low headroom. They really can't dissipate a whole lot of extra energy. Ooh, Austin, come on, TTS, do your thing. Let's hear Austin's comment. Austin said,
_creations said, just don't use the AP63205. Have had many fail, including fire on stream.
Fire on the stream. That's the best type of stream. A stream that has fire on it. But I'm not doing anything on my bench today, so very low chance of fire. Not zero, Still a chance, but quite low. All right, so this is currently Xeon's preferred very small LDO, 3.3 volt LDO. I'm going to stick to my AP2112K for now. They are small enough, but they are also big enough to be easy to work with. They stencil easily, no problems whatsoever. They're easy to rework, and they do the job just fine, and they are cheap. They are so cheap. Hang on. LCSC, let's see. AP2112K. Let's see. Whoops. That was not what I wanted to do. AP2112K. Let's just see. I've just picked like the first one out of many of the options in the list. And the price is, like say we're talking about 500 plus quantity, then 4 and a bit US cents. So like 6 cents Australian. Yeah. So these little things. They are, ooh. Yeah, these are my happy place at the moment for 3.3 volt regulators. Not too big, not too small, just right. And cheap as. Cheap. Oh, hang on. Oh, I did not come prepared to the stream with a drink today. And my throat is really catching. I hope this isn't the start of something, because the thing is, Lachlan has COVID, and yeah, he's in the factory next door, but there is a big sliding door between the two factories, so we share our air, and there is a fair bit of crossover. So we've been kind of keeping our distance from each other. But also he has been in there a lot because he is essentially kind of isolating himself from family and everybody else by staying at work in the other side of the factory from first thing in the morning till very late at night. So I have a I have a positive COVID case just on the other side of the wall, and yeah, we cross each other's paths from time to time. Yes. So for the last day or two, I've had a little bit of a ticklish throat, and I have decided that I have not caught COVID. I have not caught COVID. I'll keep telling myself that. I have not caught COVID. I have a bunch of COVID tests as well, because a little while ago, just like a few weeks ago, when I was really sick, I thought that I had COVID, and I tested myself 3 times, negative every time. It wasn't COVID, whatever it was. Don S says, super spreader barbecue. Yeah, we've got a... oh, actually, KHT says, need to make a Corsi-Rosenthal HEPA filter. I have no idea what a Corsi-Rosenthal HEPA filter is, but I do actually, in the office right here, sitting a few meters away from me, is an air purifier with a HEPA filter and UV thing built into it. It's like a pretty big one, a really good one, which is, it's got a display on the top that shows particulate matter readings and stuff. So it shows me the density of particles in the air, and it's supposed to do like virus destruction using its UV, and it's got various stages of filter and everything in it. KHD says, but does it report to Node Red? No, and I wish it would, which is why it brings us back to this whole thing, Air Quality Sensor Pro. So, KHD, thanks for getting me back on track. So I finished the board routing. It was super quick. As you can see, there's not much on this. Hang on, where are we? Let's turn off some silkscreen layers. It's only a 2-layer board. It is so simple that, yeah, I just quickly finished it. I deleted the LEDs. And the reason for that was that once I started looking at where to place them, the logical place is on the sides of the board so that the LEDs shine out sideways. Oh, and I made a couple of other changes I'll tell you about in a second too. So the LEDs shine out sideways. But the problem is we've got the module here with its antenna near the edge of the board, and that means it's very hard to place LEDs on this side of the board. Other changes I made, you can see the top buttons are different. So they are both right angle tact switches, but there is a small one here and there is a larger one here. The reason is this small one is the reset button and it has a short stalk. And what I'm going to do is just leave a hole in the enclosure so you can push a pen in or something if you wanted to press the reset button. In fact, I probably could have put that on the bottom. But anyway, it's on the top. And on the other side, even though is that silkscreen or is that info layer? I don't know. Oh no, it must be an info layer because silkscreen is turned off. So even though the info layer shows it with a short stalk, the ones that I have actually have a stalk that comes up higher, like to the top of where that mode text is. The stem of the button sticks up higher. So this is the mode button, which will come out through the top of the enclosure, and you'll be able to press it on the top of the enclosure without needing a pen or anything to do it. What I could have done is use 2 of the same button just to reduce the bill of materials variations, and mounted one up near the edge with its stalk sticking out and brought the other one back. Maybe I should have done that. It's too late now, boards are in production. What I could have done is put the mode button over here on the right, which is actually the left, because we're looking at the back of the PCB here in terms of the way it gets assembled in the enclosure. And I could have put the reset button over here on the left, and there's heaps of room down here. I could have just put it further down so that the stalk ended up back behind the thing, and then I'd have the same button in 2 locations instead of 2 different buttons. Oh well. So that is it is what it is. Now that I've come to that realization, that is really bugging me far more than it should. I've got to put it out of my mind. Stop it, stop it. That can be version 4.1. Yeah, but as I was saying, this is a very simple thing. There is not much to it. There is just the USB coming in, which passes through to the module. We have the BME 680 humidity pressure gas sensor down the bottom, and that's just on I2C. Then what have we got? We've got the connections for the display on the front, which you will see in a moment. There's a power LED that glows through the back of the enclosure, and there is the 1.27mm pitch connection for the particulate matter sensor, which is on the other side of the board. So we're looking at the back of the connector here. And it kind of looks like this. And here you can see the difference in the button. So in the 3D model, it has the longer stalk on this button, and you can see the shorter stalk on this one. So this one will need a pen or something to press reset. This one will come out through the enclosure. So we've got the vertical mount USB connector up here, voltage regulator module, gas sensor connector on here. So in this particular view, you can see the LCD mounted on the header to raise it up away from the PCB to make room underneath for the particulate matter sensor. And also I had to be careful when I was mounting. Oh, actually that's a reason for not doing it lower on the other side. All right, that has put my mind at ease. So if I had on the left hand side moved the button down lower, put it down into this region, the problem is that this button has through holes for the mechanical mounts and for the signals, and it comes through the PCB, and it had to be above the top of the air quality sensor because that is a big block that sits in there under the LCD. It plugs into this connector right here. So we've got the 1.27 millimeter pitch connector there, and we need to make sure that this part of the PCB within that bounding box is smooth with nothing coming through. The one exception is these mounting legs for the vertical USB-C connector. They are through holes. So there will be little solder bulges here, but I can keep that minimal during the assembly process. Or just make sure that I solder from the top here and that I don't have heaps of excess solder going through and causing big bulges on the back of the PCB. Don S asked, is there a clash of air sensor to LCD? And no. So that is, the air sensor is on this side of the board. So what we're looking at here, the way this assembly works, it's kind of backwards. This is the top of the PCB. Like if you're populating the PCB, this is the top or the front. This is the side the parts go on. It's only a single-sided load. And then on the other side of the board is the air quality sensor. So the LCD is actually on the back of the PCB, technically. Like, it looks like everything is backwards. But then when you turn it around and in actual use, it'll be like this. So the PCB will be facing away from us and the LCD will be facing towards us with the air quality sensor. So it'll be like this, with the air quality sensor in between. Now this particular model for the air quality sensor is very crude. I did this just as a quick thing. It is literally just a block with beveled edges. It's all I did was grab the dimensions of the sensor, make a rectangle, extrude it by 12 millimeters or whatever the thing is, bevel the edges and call it done. It was just to have some physical representation of where the air quality sensor is. So actually let's pull the latest version in. It was just a physical representation of where that is going to go. In fact, there are some vents on the bottom here because there are both the inlet and the outlet vents on here where it sucks the air in, brings it in through its little internal chamber and its laser scattering sensor, and then the air gets blown back out through the exhaust port. And if I turn off this so that we're left with just this, it doesn't have the connector on it or anything. It's just a block. Just a block. A nice blue block. Now, there was a question from... Donna asked, sorry, the big block. No, it's on the other side of the board. There was a question. Russell asked, are you going to sell these? And if so, how much? I probably will sell them. And the other thing I should point out is that I have... Did I update GitHub AQS? Let's see. Did I? 3 days ago. Okay. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that needs to get deleted entirely. Like hardware 2 I need to get rid of, or yeah, productions, added Simplicity Studio profile. Oh, I can get rid of that now because I don't have the CP2102 on it.
Almost lunchtime.
Really? Oh, it is too. Wow, time goes fast when you start daylight savings. Yeah, so there is a whole bunch of obsolete stuff in here. You can see things here from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Hang on, I didn't mean to click on that. So I need to, and I need to update renders and things. So it is a little bit out of date, but I am working to update it. As you can see, the last commit I pushed was 3 days ago. Deleted obsolete files. I need to do more of that. So if we have a look in hardware, you can see that there are now board and schematic files for AQS v4, and that is this. And there is also a complete Fusion project for it. So if you, these are Eagle format files, which could be imported into KiCad, or you can import them into Fusion or use them in Eagle if you still have Eagle around. And this is the exact same thing. So it's just 2 different formats of the same thing. You can either get the individual board and schematic files, or you can grab the Fusion project and then you get everything. So if you download this F3Z file, import it into Fusion, you will end up with the complete project. So you've got as a single entity. So you get the schematic, the board, etc. All of the associated parts and 3D models and things. So, yeah, that. So how about some fire before stream ends? Time-stamped? Time-staped.
Austin's_creations said, how about some fire before stream ends?
Some fire? Some fire. Yeah, I'd rather not have fire today. Which reminds me, we had fire inspections a few days ago. Being in a factory in a commercial space means for insurance purposes we are required to have regular fire inspections, and so we had fire extinguisher inspections and changeovers and things. Sorry, I'm looking around because I'm just eyeing off. Yeah, I've got the carbon dioxide extinguisher in there near the pick and place machines. There's a new dry powder extinguisher just outside. The dry powder extinguisher that was there is now moved further down to the welding area, etc. Anyway, cable tie! Cable tie is here! And Peter! I didn't say hi to Peter earlier. Lack of fire inspection, says some call it fun. Well, there's no fire to inspect. The fire inspector comes around and says, you can't inspect our fire. We have no fire. We can make a fire if you'd like to inspect it. Now, maybe there'll be some fire to inspect next week at the barbecue. Scott says, I played Bomb Squad Emulator Samsung Edition earlier today. The old Samsung exploding phones. Cable Tie says, morning a bit cool and wet on Mount Dandy today. So I guess you went for a ride this morning. Fire pit inspector, says Jack's Tech. Yeah, I had better not be sick properly because, was it last? Yeah, it was the last barbecue had to be cancelled because of a family thing.
Austin's_creations said, next week is actually our Thanksgiving weekend.
Ooh, cool. My watch just buzzed at me to complain that I haven't done enough steps yet this hour. I have done approximately 0 steps this hour. Because I've been sitting here talking to you. Now, what am I saying? Okay, so air quality sensor. Yeah. So the repo is it's still a little bit of a mess because it's got some historical stuff. There are some enclosure files in here for the basic version, and I don't think I've got the enclosure files in here for the pro. No, not for the pro version. I need to do that. In fact, I've got to do new files for that because this PCB has changed significantly since the last time I did an enclosure for it.
Scott Miller said, followed by the true purpose of turkeys. Hot turkey sandwiches.
Yeah, hot turkey sandwich. I could go for a hot turkey sandwich for lunch today. That would be good. So yeah, my point is, I done a thing. I did this thing and sent it off for production. So these boards are now at JLC. In fact, I wonder how far through they are. I'm going to do this off view because in that same order is a bunch of customer boards. I just want to see the status. And, well, it probably doesn't matter. But I am pretty confident that by next weekend I will have these boards physically because they were ordered a little while ago. Let's see, what else did I order? Or did I order them? Hang on. Did I order them? I can't see them in the order. Oh, maybe I didn't order them. That would be terrible. I don't want to delay that order anymore. Hang on. That can't be right. Oh, it's paginated. JLC had so many, yeah. So when you go into orders in JLC, normally it shows you just the first couple of items and then you click more and it loads the rest of your order. I've got so many items in this order, including stencils. So that was 11 PCB designs, but there are also stencils to go with some of those. So I've got like 17 items in this order, and it actually paginated the order. Even clicking like show the full order.
Scrolling,
Yeah.
scrolling.
Was not enough. All right, so where this is up to is they have completed hot air solder leveling, so the surface has been finished. The next stage is automatic visual inspection. Okay. So this is the production status for that blue board you can see there, sort of towards the left, the one I'm spinning my cursor around. That is the air quality sensor board, and this is the production status for it. Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me, that was terrible. I should have muted myself before doing that. That was probably quite resonant. Yes. What is... okay. Have we got AI spammers now? Aussie AI music. Message retracted. Mitchell, don't mark that. Today I learned something. What did Cable Tie learn? Gerald 42. What did Gerald say? Thanksgiving is a little bit earlier than US. The idea is that it is a harvest celebration and Canada has a shorter growing season. Oh, okay. So that's Canadian Thanksgiving is next weekend, and then US Thanksgiving is a bit later on. Crispian can smell that one here in Ballarat. Okay. Oh, and Jack's Tech is here. Welcome, Jack's Tech. Are we going to be inundated? No. I was going to phrase that as a question. It's not really a question. It should be more a statement. We are being inundated or in the process of being inundated with AI-driven Marketing drivel and bots. The future is interesting. The future is going to be a bit strange. All right, so there's going to be a whole software problem with this. Now, reading from the particulate matter sensor, that is all under control. Doing the display, that is going to, yeah. Working with these displays is a total pain. So I'm probably going to need some assistance when it comes to doing the coding for this. Oh, Jackstack said they're getting blocked and not appearing though, which is good. Yeah. Scott says, as far as I can tell, AI actually stands for artificial idiocy. I could go off on a whole machine learning thing now because of stuff that is happening. Oh, some of the recent...
Austin's_creations said, I will see how quickly I can make OXRS code for you, but have it all planned out in my head.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, well, I suppose this could be an OXRS device, couldn't it? That's true. And so this display is the same display as used on the rack mount thing, like the OXRS rack stuff. So, although this is with an S3, not with an old style ESP32. And I don't even know if, like, this design needs validating. I changed processors on this design, which is a fairly dramatic thing, which is why all of the USB serial stuff is gone from the PCB. We are going to need to validate that this design really does work, and yeah, stuff. And then do the coding for the display. So I've already got code that reads from the particulate matter sensor and gets all the different stats and things out of it. That's not a problem. That's a serial comms issue. It's
Peter
just...
Lawler said, even closer to lunchtime.
Yeah, it is very close to lunchtime. Yes. OXRS everything. Yes. Right. I don't know what to talk about next. And the thing is that it is kind of it is kind of end of stream time, so maybe this stream will end pretty much on time. Oh, Peter, didn't even get a hello. I thought
Peter Lawler said, didn't even get a hello hashtag sad face.
I thought I did. Well, hello, Peter. I'm pretty sure that I said something to you earlier. I don't remember. I don't know. But in any case, Peter
Lawler said, dislike and unsubscribe.
Yeah. Is that sensor below the Superhouse label? Yes. Are you talking about that capacitor?
Cable Tie said, is that the sensor below the Superhouse label?
Yeah. That is, yeah, only just. So that's just a decoupling cap on the power rail going to the BME 680.
Said, nah, I only arrived about 8 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome, Peter. In that case, if you arrived 8 minutes ago, you deserve just a fraction of a hello.
Mitchell R. said, did we do Steph and Steve proof of life lol?
No, we did not. What you get, Peter, is maybe most of the H in the hello. You just get a...
Austin's_creations said, add to the notes to add QWIIC to version 4.0.1.
If you insist. If you insist. Okay, here we go. By adding a note in here, at least we will have done something productive on the stream today. One thing to do. Add quick connector. All right, where do you want it?
Peter Lawler said, John Ox's Superhouse excuses.
Yeah. I have all the excuses. Quick. I misspelt it, didn't I? I made it QU instead of
Peter Lawler
QW.
said, midday, BYE.
Bye, Pete. Is that how it's spelled? I think so. All right. Oh, Marco, it's 3 a.m. in Italy. Then what are you doing still watching anyway? Go to bed. I'm about to wrap this up anyway, so you're not going to miss anything. Yes, Marco, go to bed. John didn't think he had a topic. Yeah, I still don't have a topic. It can stay there.
Scott Miller said, just think, 10 minutes before the stream, John didn't think he had a topic.
Yep. Topic? Who has a topic? We ain't got no topics around here, Governor.
Scott Miller said, just think, 10 minutes before the stream, John didn't think he had a topic.
Oh, yes. I don't know why it repeats like that. It does sometimes. AQS assembly. Yeah, I'll save that. I need to... So in terms of cleaning up the repo, I need to delete some old stuff. What is in hardware 2? AQS. Oh, okay, so those were previous versions. Anyway, it's all gitted, which means if I delete it, we can always get it back. It's not a one-way thing. So I can delete this, the Simplicity Studio profile, and I can, what's in firmware? D1 Mini, PMSense ESP32. Yeah, that'll need some work. This is okay because it is basic, display, and simple. Why? Yeah, okay. I need to figure out what's going on with those. Clean those up a little bit. Yeah. Display in the Pro
Mitchell
version.
R said, 58 minutes left.
58 minutes left. Hooray! It can be a 3-hour stream today. Yeah. Now, what? Oop. Messages. I'm trying not to let my...
Scott Miller said, would a 3-hour stream be like a 3-hour tour?
Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I am going to go. I'm going to wrap this up in any second now. But while we're on the subject of the air quality sensor, is there anything else? No, I don't think so. I think this is enough. Hang on, let's have a look in the enclosure. AQS assembly, where is the enclosure for it? Is there, oh, it must be back out here. Air quality sensor. No. Somewhere I designed the enclosure for this. Super button, no, not there. I don't know where it is. I'll find the designs for the original enclosure. I showed you the enclosure last week anyway. You saw the physical thing, the actual physical enclosure. Austin says docs. Kind of Gilligan's Island reference. I did know. I know what the show Gilligan's Island is. Like, I know of it. But I don't, like, I don't know that I've ever actually seen an episode. Like, I've seen, it's one of those things where I've seen, you know, skits out of it or, you know, little clips. But I've never actually watched Gilligan's Island. So, yeah. I missed that entirely. Yeah. Let's get out of that. In fact, let's quit out of Fusion entirely. I'm going to bail out of Fusion. Shipwreck. Yes. Jackstack said the opening theme song, they were supposed to be on a 3-hour tour but got stranded. Yeah, okay. For a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. Okay. Yeah, I can't quite hear it in my head. Like, I know I've heard the Gilligan's Island theme song, but I can't remember it. I can't even get it into my head. So, anyway, I am going to bail, and I think I need to rest. Don't know why. I just feel like I need to rest. It's the start of the day. Maybe it's because I had a big day yesterday. I did lots of construction yesterday. I finished building the framing for the end wall on the second half of the mezzanine. And I went to striking class, which was really fun yesterday. It was a good class. We did some quite complex combos and some good sparring. And I took David down. He tried to...
Mitchell R said, afternoon nap.
Yeah.
Mitchell R said, hit that like button.
Yep. So he went for a body kick on me, and I caught his leg and took him down. Bit of ground and pound, satisfying. So no, I didn't ground and pound. I just I took him down, got him into side control, and let him up from there. So
Scott Miller said, like that hit button.
Final thing. Next Sunday is barbecue Sunday, but I am a little worried about the health aspects because I have been coughing a bit, and Lachlan has been around and COVID positive. He was probably positive for a few days before he realized that it was COVID, because he thought he just had like a mild cold or something, and then tested and was positive. So I have probably been exposed to some extent, but whether it's enough that I've actually caught anything. So keep in mind, if you are planning to be a barbecue person next Sunday, keep an eye out, because I may have to cancel it. But right now I feel okay. I've just got this like paranoia thing going on. So yes, should be fine. Should be fine. I don't think I'll get it, but things happen. So thanks for coming along. I hope you have an excellent 25-hour long day, because today is 25 hours long. The one day of the year here in Melbourne that we have a 25-hour day. So make the most of it. Get the extra 4% of productivity that you have just gained. And have a fantastic week. And I will see all of you next week in the chat, and some of you next week at the barbecue. So thank you very much. Bye.